I think that genetics play a much greater role than people would like to believe. I think that so much of our behaviors are genetic. I think that so many of our attributes are genetic. And I think that people have a bias against that because we have this culture. It makes us uncomfortable.
It does.
Because genetics are unchangeable and they're immutable.
Mm-hmm.
So people have this idea that, but there's an answer for this. People have this idea that if something's genetic, it's very frustrating because then I can't change it. I can't improve.
That's not true.
But what it tells us, though, well, like height, like I can't make myself taller,
right?
You know, and like and there's a lot of things. A bald person can't make themselves grow hair, and that's.
I use an invasive hair transplant. Genetically, I would have been bald, so he's correct.
So the point is that, you know, although the reality might be that genetics matter a lot, I think have a tendency to. It's wishful thinking that it's not so. Here's the thing, though. When it comes to these attributes, the answer is like, yes, inequality is real. It should make us uncomfortable. It's a fact. You know, we see it all the time. And so many of the culture war issues are about inequality. Like when you look at the dating stuff or the sex incel stuff, it's about inequality. Gender stuff, it's about inequality. Race stuff, inequality. And the answer to inequality is that people are more than matter. People have souls. People are not just, you know, what their product of their labor is or their house or how tall they are. People are created by God. So the answer to inequality is not to ignore it and not to get offended by it or make it uncomfortable. We have to take those things into account to govern society because we can't solve problems if we don't know the real causes. And so I posed earlier, you know, what's the persistent fact is black and white inequality. What's the answer? Is it racism or circumstance, or is it genetics? People should be open-minded about the genetics because we want to solve it, but we should love people regardless of, you know, whether that inequality is baked in or it's a result of discrimination. So that's just my thesis.
I mean, you package it really nice.
I got a question.
Okay, and then her.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to talk about something else more fun, but
like what? Like
but what? But you just had me think. You just had me think about something. Because if it's genetics, right? So why is it when the slaves came over who were kings and queens, their offsprings didn't transform, I guess, or bring those king and queen qualities and attributes? I
don't think they brought kings and queens over. Because what happened is that I mean,
not kings and queens. Okay, let me not mud it. Okay, cool.
Well, but blacks sold other blacks into slavery. They were captured in wars. So,
but again, you said it was genetic. So there were smart blacks that got brought over here because we wouldn't have half of the shit that we have if we didn't have the smart blacks that came over.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, you look at African immigrants, they do way better than blacks in America.
Yes, absolutely. We're not talking about African Americans, so let's not muddy the waters.
We're talking about African immigrants, right?
We're talking about slaves. I'm not talking about African Americans.
I'm talking about, well, here's the point I'm trying to make, though, is that the descendants of African slaves have, you know, you say American blacks have a much lower income and wealth than whites. But you look at African immigrants like Nigerians or others, they have a higher average income than whites. That's because the immigrants are selected. The people that come here from Africa today as immigrants are already pre-selected. In other words, we're not just getting a bunch of people, we're getting people that are going to school on a visa, or they're an engineer on a visa or something like that. And so as a consequence, you know, it would be hard to explain through racism why an African can come here and do super, super well, but blacks are mired in poverty if the answer was racism. But if the answer is genetics, it's like, well, the general population of blacks here is lower IQ than the average IQ of the immigrants that are coming here from Africa as students or workers or something else.
Doesn't that refute your claims then?
No.
Because if in the USA, the black IQ is lower than the average. But if we bring in blacks from the not USA, then their IQ is above average. So doesn't that refute your claim that IQ is how?
Because like I said, it's just an average. So the blacks that are coming over, you know, like when I'm in Chicago, there's a lot of like black Uber drivers, and I talk to them on the way to the airport.
I feel like it's a non sequitur though.
No, but hang on.
There's a lot of Hispanics that are Uber drivers.
Okay. No, but you're
okay.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Please.
And so a lot of the times, you know, they're students, they're software engineers, they're very intelligent, they're very hardworking. And like, I know they're going to make it. I see why average income of a Nigerian is like $80,000 in America. And it's because there's a selection bias. The selection bias is that the Africans that are coming over as immigrants are higher IQ. And so the function is IQ. The blacks that are here that have an average low IQ have a much lower income. The blacks that are already selected as coming over as students, engineers, have a higher IQ. They do very well.
Okay. So
have you ever heard of generational?
I want to add to what he said real quick before you, because I know you want to switch it. He's correct, because to get an F1 visa, you have to get accepted by some type of university coming to the United States. So that in itself screens out a lot of people that otherwise were morons or wouldn't be able to. Just off of the F1 visa program itself, that screens out a lot of retards.
So they're grown to become better.
Because they can't get an F1 visa and come here unless they can get accepted to a school which meets the requirements of university, which already going to beat a lot of Americans out that don't go to college. Sorry,
so I was going to ask you, have you ever heard of generational curse? So you keep talking about genetics. Like, yeah, I inherited some bullshit from my daddy because he lazy and all that type of shit. But that was because he became Americanized. But in Haiti, they know their culture. They know who they are. They're embedded in who they are. So yeah. You're gonna get the Nigerian that is doing the things and all of the things. I don't know how to talk, but I mean, you understand what I'm saying, right? So you're gonna get the Nigerian that do all of the things. But if you have a Black American who has been stripped of everything that they knew, they name everything, and they've been given some shit, right? You're gonna get that what you call genetic. Whatever you talking about right there, because because like she just said. You just said that Black Americans are the ones that have lower IQs, but when a Nigerian comes from where they innately are, Nigeria. I'm sorry, y'all trying to, because I'm know what you mean, but y'all know what I'm saying. Anyway, but what I'm saying is what I'm saying is generational curses is real. So that's that genetic you talking about. That's that bullshit that I got from my mama and my daddy. That shit that slavery stuff. You get what I'm saying? So yes, that's what you're gonna get. So that's what you're basing it out of, the Black American. But when you talk about your Haitians and you're talking about your Hondurans, because they Black too. When you're talking about your Dominicans, you get what I'm saying? When you're talking about people that are based, their culture is rich than the Black American, yes. And that's why they come here and feel some type of way about us, because we don't know who we are, my love. So I get it. Sorry. Go ahead.
I guess like my final point, because I know we're going to switch topics soon. My final point would be like, as the person in grad school, like looking at what is the metric of the study that was being conducted? Like, was it done globally? Was it done in the US? Was it done in a specific country? At what time frame was it done? What were the methods? Were there blinding? Were there randomization? Were there controls? What were the controls? Everything. And if I'm saying all of these words and no one is understanding what I'm saying, then I really encourage you to try and do some research on how to like interpret research, because it's fun, but it's important to know how to interpret quality research.
A study like that would never get done though, because of ethics. Realistically speaking, people are going to get offended and triggered, and it would never get funded.
Because how it is.
Because here's the other thing too. Like, it's what's the benefit? Like, if you do the study and it comes out negative, and you find out that in fact that people that are Black or Black Americans have lower IQ, it's going to be terrible. So it's a L all across.
I actually
no one will fund it.
I proposed a study in one of my pathways in school, where I wanted to take a look at racial profiling potentially in preschool children. And my mentor said, well, Clammy, if you are doing this study and you find that Black children do get expelled more, or they are racially profiled, then it begs the question, like, okay, are they more misbehaved? Are they targeted more? And that is something, like the point that you bring up is something we have to be very, very careful of.
Yeah, they wouldn't fund it. But now going back to what you were saying about like, were your parents like first generation? Were their parents born in the United States, or were they from?
So yeah, my mom is from South Carolina and my dad is Haitian. So my grandfather went through the Jim Crow era, where it's white fountains, Black fountains. Yeah. He did not graduate. He did not make it past middle school because he had to help his mother. Okay. To work. He had to work. Okay. So my mom came here. Everybody came here around when she was 6. So yeah, it is that South mentality. Like it is, I can only give you what I know, what I got.
I mean,
because
be
this
honest,
is what I know and this is what
I
got.
I think that's a cop-out because the reality is you're worse off immigrating from a foreign country, not knowing the language, coming over here and trying to make a way than someone that was born and raised here with all the opportunities. You know, people might say, oh, welfare, I'm a product of government cheese and, you know, Section 8, whatever. You're still better off than someone coming from like a Nigeria, a Haiti, whatever. The reality is that it's not necessarily that a lot of Black Americans are unsuccessful because they're Black, is because they're just fucking lazy. Whereas you take an immigrant from Africa, they come over here and they figure out a way to make money, not even knowing the language, not knowing the culture, not knowing anything, and they figure it out.
Fair point.
And I think the reason why is because they don't have the opportunities in their country. They come over here, they actually appreciate it, they thrive in it, and then they make something of themselves versus someone that was born here, they're entitled to it, they think they deserve it, and then they complain and cry about why they're not where they want to be, and they blame it on the white man when in reality they're just lazy.
I agree with some of that, but I don't agree with all of that because we could go back to the system. It's systematically
That's
worked.
I was about to bring that.
It's systematically worked. They drop things. Come on, man. Black people have been trying to be. They bombed the whole Black market. Come on, y'all. Let's not act like we didn't never ever.
Let me ask you this then. Who has more opportunity? Someone coming here from a poor third world country in Africa, or someone that's been systematically impressed in the United States?
Who has more opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously the one
that's here. Yeah, the American dream. Yeah, let's talk about it.
So explain to me how someone that's born here, raised here, has the language, has a U.S. citizenship, which people die to come here and get all the time. Explain to me why they're a failure when someone comes here, doesn't know anything, comes here on a visa, makes their way up, gets a visa to stay here from getting a job and being productive.
Not everybody,
and then they earn their ability to get a U.S. citizen, and they make it further than the person that was born here that had inherent advantages.
I feel you, but what happened?
Hold on. Yes, they were systematically oppressed. Cool, I get that. But third world poverty is always going to be way worse than American poverty and being oppressed.
Okay, so what happens when a Cuban and a Haitian come? Because I feel what you're saying. I get it all, but at the same time, it's different when you could come here and you could just get off a ship and you could get more than me than what I work. I'm an American and I work hard. They get a check. They get food stamps. They get everything. Come on. And then I'm working in a system where I see it all the time. It ain't a lot of black people coming in. And where I'm at, acting like they entitled.
Are you talking about the Cuban wet foot, dry foot?
Yes,
policy?
and I was trying to get
I was trying to get there. You're talking about that.
Go ahead, take it off.
How about this? What's better? Okay, you're born and raised here. You can speak the language. You have free education, right, all the way up until college, and you have an American citizenship. Or you come here from Cuba, don't speak the language, don't have any status. Your ability to travel is limited. You don't have any documents to be able to go ahead and get a driver's license or get a job or anything else like that.
And you still get everything, bro.
No, hold on. And you get let's say a couple $1,000s, right? Through the wet foot, dry foot situation. Who's better off, realistically speaking?
The person that's coming here off the boat, bro.
No, so
hold on. Can I just real quick? So
am I wrong?
So basically, for me, right? I'm from Barbados.
Okay.
I came here 7 years ago, right? Obviously speaking, I'm not from here, and I didn't even have a job. But what I saw was opportunity. So my mindset is, all right, I'm from a small island, not as successful, not as wealthy, but I come here for opportunity. But at the same time, I saw my peers that were over here, been here for years. They were born in America. They were literally working the same job as me when I got a job, just lazy, doing the same stuff. You know what? I'll be here for 40 years. I'm happy. And I was like, hold on, what's the difference between that person and me? It's a mentality.
Mindset.
So the environment, I agree with you, does breed comfort and I want to say laziness. However, as an individual, if I want to do better for myself and my family, it's up to me to make that choice. So ultimately, I'm saying here, like, it is up to that individual to make a choice. Now, the environment does play a part in it, but once again, it's up to that person. So
okay, my problem with what you and Myron are doing right now, y'all are taking a select few of people and generalizing it. Because there are not that many immigrants coming over here and just being fucking fantastic and amazing. It's not.
That's true.
It is a select amount of people. And at the end of the day, Myron come sit back down so he can chime in on this. Because at the end of the day, it is still harder to work within a system that is designed against you.
Hold on. Once again, it is hard. I admit that. But what is it? It's the mentality. So, for example,
you're right, but I'm saying y'all sitting here taking these couple of encounters and situations and acting like, look at all these immigrants coming over here and being great, and the rich and American-born blacks are just fucking lazy. That's not it.
So I do agree. Okay, that my logic is I do agree that there are people that come over here and they don't have a drive, but I also know for a fact that there's a lot of people who are born here and raised here and don't have nothing going on, don't care to have anything going on. They prefer to live off of the government benefits. Now, do I feel like people who come from out of the country who are immigrants?
Bring the mic closer to you so they can actually hear you. Move it closer to you.
Okay. Do I feel like, you know, people who come from other countries who are considered immigrants, they feel like, yes, okay, I have something to prove. Let me come over here and let me make better of myself and my situation from where I come from. Yes, I do agree. There are some people who have that drive. However, I just don't feel like we can rationalize on saying, hey, everyone in the U.S. is just
lazy.
Black Americans.
No, I don't know.
Lazy.
I don't want to say that we have it made, but I feel like we have a better opportunity than the people who come from, who are immigrants.
No question.
I agree.
I do also feel like what you, sorry, I'm so sorry. I do also feel like, to your point, when you're saying the whole Haitian and Cuban thing, I know Haitians that come here and I know Cubans who come here and they would just go straight to doing Uber because it's easier for them.
No, but to her point.
But then I also know there's Cubans and Haitians or other races, whatever it is, or nationalities for that matter, that would come here and they make a way.
Right, but no, her point about the Cuban Haitian thing was with the wet food, dry food policy. If a Cuban literally if they both made it and they stepped 1 foot on the sand, they get to stay. Haitians do that same exact journey. They step that 1 foot on, they go there and right back to Haiti.
Right.
So no,
That's
we
not
can't
fair.
do that either. And Myron, what you missed, what I said was, I don't like how y'all are sitting here trying to overly generalize a select population of people, saying that immigrants who do come over and be successful, y'all making it seem like that is the norm. Because it's not.
Well, the reason we brought the immigration.
I don't know why we talk about immigrants anyway.
Hold on. What I'm saying is that immigrants that come here, right, that it shouldn't be, a lot of immigrants come here and are successful, but what I'm saying is that they have the odds stacked against them, and a lot of times they do better than people that were born here. So why is that? Because people that are here are just lazy.
No, I don't think so. I think culturally, but no, I think culturally, our mindsets are different, because I can see a family, a Mexican family come, everybody stack in one house, and then somebody buy the next house, and then somebody buy the next, because that is the mentality of the culture. They stick together. I feel like as a people, Black people, we always going neck to neck against each other, which is why we cannot ever come to an agreement or unite.
So then, let's just keep it 1,000. I'm just gonna say
no, I don't have to disagree because I can't accept that only because just for being Black
every morning and go to work.
Hold on. I can say this as a landlord. This is a fact, statistically speaking. The most evicted race of people are who? Blacks. Specifically African American women. So my thing is this: if you don't even want to pay the fucking rent, that's a serious problem. Immigrants, on the other hand, come here, can't speak the language, don't have citizenship, can't even properly get a house or get the thing, but they always pay rent on time. Explain that to me.
I think that
you have all the opportunities. You don't have the language. You have the citizenship. You have something that people come here to die for. Yet you go ahead, don't get an education, don't get a job, can't maintain a roof over your head.
And what percentage of those people do that?
The thing is this:
a lot.
The Black community is so coddled that we can't even criticize them. The reality is this: I'm a Black guy too. Y'all are just fucking lazy.
I have to speak up about what Myron is saying, because as a Black woman, I feel like there is humility and power in recognizing that we have problems in the Black community.
I agree.
And these obstacles need to be overcome. The only way to overcome them is to wildly recognize that they exist. I was raised in poverty my whole life, literally dirt road poverty. There was a time in my childhood where my damn apartment was on a dirt road and I had to share a bed with my mom and my sister. We only had 2 beds and 3 people, 1 bedroom apartment. And now, why am I? What?
Don't worry about Chris.